Hey guys, welcome back to Just a Geek in the Garage. Today I want to talk about reviving old power tools. If you're anything like me, basically, you probably have a drawer full of, old power tools that don't work anymore because they're on an older technology. Maybe the battery has died on you along the way, or maybe, you've actually threw those away a long time ago and decided to move on. So for me, if you guys, especially if you saw my toolbox tour that I posted a while back, I have a lot of kind of extra old power tools, corded, cordless, stuff like that. I just have a hard time throwing away tools, especially when I spend, hard-earned money on something like a Bluepoint or even like an, old school Craftsman. So today specifically, I kind of want to talk about, if you have an old power tool, maybe it's running on the 3.6 volt nicad batteries that was very common, 25 years ago or so. And then, lithium ion came out about that time, about 20 years ago or so, and it was kind of a game changer for power tools. And that's why, back then people use a lot of air tools, even me. But now with the technology that we have, it gets better and better every single year. Everything is pretty much going to be lithium ion. Normally, if I'm using a power tool, it's not going to be something like this with an internal battery. It's usually going to be something that's a Ryobi 18 volt, a Bauer 20 volt, or part of the M12 line. So, but there's a handful of tools like these two specifically that I've always liked. I bought these a long time ago, and they worked very very well until the nicad batteries died, and then what are you going to do? So these projects I probably took on at this point, I want to say maybe 2-3 years ago. So this is not something that I just did recently, but hopefully you guys find it kind of interesting. But basically, I realized and I actually saw some other videos on YouTube that if you have a 3.6 volt nicad tool, it'll run perfectly well, if not better, on a lithium ion 3.7 volt, which is a very common type of battery. The ones I use specifically, they're called the 18650s, and you'll get to see them here in just a second. But basically, I was able to just kind of rip out the old nicad batteries and just simply wire in new lithium ion batteries. Now, one, it's not that difficult of a job if you know how to solder and things like that. But the problem is the chargers that come with these are specifically for nicad. They're not going to charge lithium ion, and you wouldn't want to try. Probably have an explosion or something, or at least some kind of a spark. But so the question becomes, how do I get a lithium ion in here while still being able to recharge it? And I know I could put a replaceable lithium ion battery in here, but I don't want to take this thing apart every single time I want to use it, because it's not really that easy to take apart. You can kind of see this is the top section that kind of has all the the gears and things like that. And by the way, this Bluepoint, the reason why I like it, this is all solid metal. Up here, unlike a lot of and especially all the gears inside, unlike a lot of the newer tools that use a lot of plastic. But basically, there's a couple holes you can see here, and it was just connected to this bottom blue section by a couple of these pins, right? You basically just use a little punch, get these things out, and then this thing comes apart into two separate pieces like this. Once you do that, all you got to do is kind of just take off the end cap right here. And so you can already see how many steps this is, so I definitely don't want to do this on a day-to-day basis when I'm changing out the battery. But let's kind of take a look at what I did in here. I just kind of used the space that I had. I like these Keep Power, this Keep Power brand of 18650 batteries. They have a lot of power. I did this thing, literally probably, a couple years ago. I've only had to charge this thing once and actually use this thing a decent amount. It's kind of my go-to, especially in the house when I'm changing out door handles and stuff like that. So basically what I did, again, I took out the old nicad batteries, and you can basically see what you have left. You got it's where the positive and negative goes. You make note of the wires, obviously, as you're taking stuff apart. But what I did is, before it kind of went through this like circuit to go to, it was a separate wiring system to go to the charging port, which is, where is it on this one? The charging port is, it's right here. Okay, so what I ended up doing is, if you guys are going to, take on a fix like this, you probably understand what I'm going to say here next. But I just wired the battery's positive and negative terminals in parallel with this charging port. So what that means is that the positive of the battery and the tip of the charging port are the same, and the negative and the wall are the same as well. So what does that allow me to do? So first of all, what you can do when you do that is it's going to get this thing working again. But second, it's going to allow you to plug something into the charging port. That, let's see if I can get this back together while I'm on camera. This thing's always a bit tricky. It's like a little puzzle. But anyway, so here's the charging port. So, but basically what that allows you to do is a couple of things. So one, now I have a battery that, if let's say a few years from now this battery goes dead, I can simply just take this thing apart. It's already kind of in a battery holder here, so I can just replace the internal battery and I'm done. No additional wiring involved. It's just that I have to take it apart basically. But, and I'm sorry about this because I'm trying to see while I am filming, and that is very, very difficult. But anyway, so you get this thing back together, pop this back on, put this back up here, and then put the pins in, you're good to go. But here's the modification that I kind of made. So I made this, which is basically the shape, or at least the size of an 18650 battery. Just a couple of screws on each end. This is positive, that's why I put the red zip tie here. This is the negative. Now what I can do is I can take this piece right here and just simply plug it in, and then put this into any 18650 charger, and it will, it tricks it basically into thinking that there's just a regular battery in there, and so it just charges the internal battery, as if it was sitting on the charger. Now with the Craftsman, it was a little bit different because the Craftsman came with this cradle, and it charges through the cradle itself through these little a couple of pins right here. But in this particular case, it actually worked out very well, which is the same charger fits in here also. So I can basically just set this thing in and charge it. So now what I've done is I've taken these really old tools and I've given them new life, and they are significantly more powerful than they ever were in the past. And this one's kind of a cool one because it has like this kind of adjustable grip. I know they sell stuff like this now, but again, having something that's a bit nostalgic that actually works better than some of the stuff that's sold today, and you got a fun little project on your hands. So tell me, what do you guys think? Is this something that you would take on, or would you just simply throw away the old tools and just start from scratch with something like from a Milwaukee or another brand? So again, just something I kind of do for fun. I love working with wiring things, where I know a lot of guys out there, that's the last thing they want to deal with. But leave in the comments, is this something that you would do? Would you like to see a video of maybe a more comprehensive instructions on how to actually get it done, especially explaining the different wiring terms? But yeah, leave that in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe.